YouTube world. Hi, my 3 loyal subscribers, including my one, who is my husband, who supports me in everything and is awesome. But anyways, I wanted to make an update. It's been a couple weeks since I made a video. I tried to make a video about this already, but I was kind of like really emotional and I looked a mess because I was exhausted. I just got done 2 weeks that were like crazy at school. I had clinicals, I had 2 presentations, I had back-to-back tests, I had all this new material I had to learn in like a day for a test. I also had like a preceptorship. I had all this, so much going on with school. I mean, it was probably one of the busiest weeks, if not busiest. So anyway, so I've had a couple days off now, and I've been able to catch up on sleep, do a little cleaning, some spring cleaning, and I put on some makeup today, so I'm like, maybe I should do a video. And I'm starting to feel like a normal human again because nursing school kind of takes over life. So I'm really glad that I have this spring break to get back to like me and taking care of myself. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out how you take care of yourself well and balance nursing school. And I'm almost done nursing school. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. So today I basically wanted to talk about fertility issues. I kind of wanted to start making videos about me and my husband's journey. So that if you're like me and you're having fertility issues, hopefully this video finds you and brings you some comfort and makes you realize that you're not alone. That's kind of like a theme in all my videos that you'll be watching. I like to talk about hard stuff or taboo stuff or things that are just not talked about enough. And because of that, it makes you feel alone when you're not. So basically, I just remember we've been on, me and my husband have been on this like fertility journey now for almost 2 years, and in the beginning it was so hard because you do feel extremely isolated going through this in the beginning. So I kind of thought in the beginning, like, I knew that, like, people struggle with it and everything, and I've heard stories, but I felt like I didn't really know anybody personally, so that's what made it so hard. Like, I knew of, like, a friend, but I didn't know that many, and I didn't know who was going through, like, my medical issue. And my most that I've been struggling with is I have endometriosis, and it's not well known. Most like OBGYNs don't even know that much about it. And even if they do, there's not very good treatment for it. And I think that has to do with some of my fertility issues. What else? I'm still not sure yet if I also have something else going on. I've been tested. I've had my hormones, like my thyroid and like prolactin and stuff, and those type of female hormones have been tested. Everything always comes back normal. So we still don't know if there's something else though, because I might have PCOS. We're not sure, but I do have like several symptoms, and that's how it's, I guess, diagnosed. I had an MRI or a CT scan like over a year ago, sorry, I can't remember which one it was, but I had some scans done before I had surgery for endometriosis, and my doctor did notice I had a lot of like cysts or follicles, which is a symptom of PCOS. I also don't, I haven't in the past gotten my periods regularly, and we don't know if that was stress, if that was like diet, or if that again could be PCOS. But anyway, I know for sure I do have endometriosis. I had a surgery and about a few months ago for that, and they biopsied tissue from this when I had the surgery, and it came back as I guess endometrial lining or tissue. So I do have that. um, I was diagnosed with stage 2. There's 4 stages. 4 is like the most severe, and 1 is the least amount of endometrial lining spreading. Ugh, that makes sense. Sorry. Um, okay. Basically, stage 1 is it's kind of, I don't want to say like cancer, but you know how stage 4 is the worst. Same thing with endometriosis. So anyway, um, so we think that is some of the reason, because me and my husband, we haven't been trying, but I haven't been on birth control for 2 years, so we're like, what's going on? Why am I not getting pregnant? You would think by now I would be, even if we're not necessarily like tracking when I ovulate and all that. But I have started doing that recently. But so we both think, there's something underlying, whether it's something he has, something I have, but we know I at least have endometriosis, which can cause infertility, unfortunately, but not always. Not always, so. But anyway, I've been really struggling with the fertility thing lately, just because I'm in nursing school, and which I mentioned earlier in this video, but I was doing a peds rotation, which is pediatrics, so I was working around babies and adorable little children, and I think it just brought up all those issues for me, because like I really want to have kids, and seeing some of them either knowing that they come from abusive households where they're not being treated right, and having absolutely horrific things done to them. I mean, truly. Or hearing that, they're just being neglected, like their parents basically abandoned them for whatever reason, because they're sick, or I don't know, they just didn't feel like being a parent anymore, I guess. I don't know, it just made me really angry, because here me and my husband are wanting to have kids eventually, and there's people who just, I guess, take it so for granted, in my opinion, that it was getting me really upset. But anyway, so I do want to let other people know, if they have endometriosis, if they have PCOS, there's so many different factors that can contribute to infertility, and just want you to know that you're not alone. When me and my husband first were like having issues, like me not getting my periods and just me not getting pregnant, well, at least for me, I felt like, oh my God, I'm the only one. But then I started talking to more of my friends, and finding out, it's actually not that uncommon, especially as we get older as women, that you might find from talking to some of your friends that, hey, they're not getting their periods regularly, or they haven't gotten their period in like a year, or something like that. And then you start feeling less like a freak. I hate to say that, but that was how I felt. But then I realized, okay, I'm not the only one who has issues with their period, like being irregular. I guess that was new for me, because I always had regular periods until I started getting older. And so it's hard to deal with because it wasn't like, oh, I was born with that, like that. The whole endometriosis thing I only started having like symptoms of that and issues with that when I was in my late 20s. I'm now 31. So I've been dealing with it for several years, but you know, the cruel thing about fertility is a lot of times when we don't have health issues and when we are biologically, like, it's really easy for us to get pregnant, we can't um, because of financial reasons, or we don't have a loving partner or whatever, or we don't have our career settled, we don't have a house. But then when it's hard to get pregnant when you're older, like now I have endometriosis and I didn't have that till a couple years ago. Then we start seeing like problems when you're trying to get pregnant. You're older, you start seeing problems like health wise more often, and that's what makes it seem like so unfair. And that is, I think, why it's so hard to deal with, because for me, and I'm sure like plenty of women who are millennials, we were told to go to college, get a career together, get married, don't, live your life in your 20s. Be like strong and become that independent woman who can take care of herself, which is awesome and that is good advice. But the same token, then when we do have everything figured out, then by that point we start seeing like, oh, I have health problems now. Like now I have endometriosis, or I have PCOS, or I have a thyroid condition, whatever it is. That's just like so unfair, but that is that is the case for so many women. And it stinks too, because I've had friends who are the other way around, who they did get pregnant, but it was when they were really too young. They were a teenager, or they were in their early 20s, and they just were not there mentally and emotionally to be able to take care of a kid. Like they could barely take care of themselves, and now they were expecting a kid. So I've had a couple friends who gave their babies up for adoption, which is also not talked about nearly enough. That's why I love the show Teen Mom. I've been following it. Shout out to Teen Mom. It's been following that show since it was, 16 and pregnant. But I really love Caitlin and Tyler's story, because it's been tracking like their adoption story and how hard it is. But I think it's also a great option that people don't always consider. And my friend who gave up her baby for adoption, that's the most selfless decision you can make, and it's so hard because you're doing everything for your baby, and either way it's hard if you're the adoptive parent or you're the biological parent, because you're sacrificing something for this baby. And so that's another thing that stinks, is as women we have it hard sometimes either way. Like I feel like having a baby when it's the perfect timing like doesn't happen that much anymore, because I feel like a lot of women nowadays are in their 30s, late 30s, sometimes early 40s. I have friends who are in their 40s, are trying to get pregnant because now they have all their ducks in a row. They have a job, they have a house, they have a husband or a loving partner, and they're mentally mature and emotionally mature, but now they have less eggs, or they have some health condition like me, and they can't get pregnant, and it just stinks. And I feel like it's just going to keep happening more and more. I've been hearing more on the radio about like IVF, and I feel like that isn't going away. We're going to be hearing more and more about fertility clinics and fertility treatments, and I just wish there was I don't know, a better way for women, that we didn't have to choose either to have kids when we're too young and not ready, or we have to go through all these fertility treatments when we're older. But I guess, that's how life is. Life is hard. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to make this video just to let you know that if you do struggle with fertility for whatever reason, you want to have kids, maybe you just don't have a partner. My older sister, she wanted to have kids for forever, and she couldn't find like a good guy, and it took her till her 30s to find that special person. And it stinks because you don't always get what you want, and a lot of time, and we don't decide, when we're necessarily going to have a baby. Like, sure, we decide I want a baby now, but it doesn't mean we necessarily get pregnant. I wish you could just go to a doctor and just get a shot, and then boom, you're pregnant. That would be nice. But usually, it takes years, is what I'm finding now. I've found out it usually takes years, and it usually takes multiple doctors, multiple like fertility clinics to finally get pregnant. And then even if you do get pregnant, which is the ultimate goal, and to have that healthy baby, even when you do, sometimes you don't find out all the answers, like whether it was something with you or whether it was something with your husband. You just don't find out what caused it. But I guess that's how life is. Sometimes we don't get all the answers, but the main thing is just that you're able to have like a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. I've talked to several women who they don't know how, but after years and years of trying, like sometimes when they've given up or whatever, they somehow get pregnant. And like that's like amazing. And if you think about it, even getting pregnant is like a miracle, because we were talking about in clinical the other day, in nursing school, how it's like 30 steps. It takes 30 like separate steps to get pregnant, scientifically. So that's amazing that we're even able to do so. And yeah, and I think too, some of it is also, even even if you don't have a medical condition, I think it can be hard to get pregnant sometimes, just because if you go to a fertility specialist, a lot of times they'll put you on like a really strict healthy diet. You're not allowed to drink alcohol, you're not allowed to smoke, you're not allowed to have like a lot of caffeine, and you're not allowed to have stress, which I don't know how you don't do that, but you have to cut down on your stress. so yeah, I think it's just hard to get pregnant in general, so don't beat yourself up. I kind of did that a lot in the beginning. And I also did a lot of like questioning, sometimes not questioning in a good way. And I just want to tell you, if you're doing that, to knock it off, because I did that a lot in the beginning. I was like, why is this happening to me? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not going to be a good mom? Are me and my husband not meant to parent together? Like, you question everything when you have fertility issues. But sometimes it's nothing to do with you. It's an underlying medical condition. And in general, I think it's hard to get pregnant. As you're older, you have less eggs. And it takes a lot of factors, like your lifestyle, and sometimes you can't control that. Sometimes you have a really stressful job, or whatever going on, that you're not living like the healthiest that you can be, but not necessarily your fault sometimes. Like, I'm in nursing school. Like, I would love to cut out caffeine, but honestly, I don't really know of a nursing student who doesn't drink like 5 cups of coffee. No, but anyways, and the other thing I wanted to let you know is, don't be afraid to reach out to people who have gone through fertility problems and get advice from them. Although you will get some crappy advice from people who are very well meaning. Like my family, God bless them, they want, they want grandkids and great grandkids. And I know that, or they want, a niece or whatever. And I know it's coming from a good place, but sometimes family can add more pressure to you than you already are under, because your biological clock is ticking. And I don't think sometimes they realize, like, it's your journey, and if it's important to you, like it is for me, you are making steps to try and make it happen, but it doesn't just happen overnight. And sometimes we, like, for instance, me being in nursing school, I don't have the time or the emotional energy or the money to be investigating why we're not getting pregnant yet. And I'm doing everything I can. So at some point, if your family won't stop, or it could be friends, whoever, if they won't stop giving you advice and kind of adding to that pressure that you're already under because of time, your biological clock, and because you already put pressure on yourself if you want to have children, it's okay to tell those people enough. I had to do that. And I had to say it very, I said it in a nice way, but I had to be very adamant about it, because if not, they're just going to keep going, and they need to understand that, of course, you want to have kids, but sometimes we have to go on the journey at our own pace, because fertility issues are a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It can be very complicated figuring out, what's causing it. Sometimes we never find out. And it can be emotionally, it is so draining, and mentally and financially and everything else. You know what I'm talking about if you're watching this video because you have fertility issues. So if you need to tell family members or friends to back off because they're, telling you, you gotta have kids because you only have so many years till blah, 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 and, you never know what can happen, and, like, please, we know, just stop. So, I had to do that with my mom, God bless her, and other family members as well, because they don't understand sometimes, like, how hard it is, and that you are doing everything you can. And, but I do suggest you do talk to other people, see what's worked for them, see, like, what doctors they've gone to, what diets, and, you don't have to take all their advice. If something sounds like crap, it probably is, but just, I think talking about it and getting out there is, like, one of the best steps you can take, and not be afraid, because don't let fear hold you back. If this is something that you've always wanted, you need to talk to your partner. You need to talk to as many people as you can who've had success, so that you can get good advice, and you can start your journey, because it can take years to get pregnant, and don't let fear hold you back, like with any dream in life, but especially if you want to have kids. And I think that's mostly all I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to keep you guys updated. Hopefully, eventually me and my husband will be able to have a family, whatever capacity that is, whether we have to do adoption or do IVF, whatever it is. But I did want to start a video and just give you, like, some main tips that have helped me, which is realize you're not alone, number one. There's plenty of people out there. There's so many women who don't have regular cycles, or their hormones are messed up. So don't think that you're the only one going through this. And there's so many women who have fertility issues, please. And then number 2, don't beat yourself up. I mean, it's normal to question and start like getting answers from doctors and everything, but don't make it, internalize it and start beating yourself up and saying like, oh, this is because I didn't take care of my body enough when I was younger. That time I went drinking too much. Like, no, this probably doesn't really have much to do with you, and that is frustrating, but just know that you don't have control a lot of times when you have health problems. Number 3, my third piece of advice is get advice from people who've been in your type of situation, like have fertility issues or had problems conceiving, especially if they've had the same type of like medical diagnoses, like endometriosis, if you have endometriosis. And number 4, I would say to tell people who are putting pressure on you, and most of the people I think are coming from a good place, but they don't realize it. Tell them to stop because you already have enough pressure on yourself. So those well-meaning like friends and everything, you need to draw some boundaries and say like, hey, if I need your advice, I will come to you, when I'm ready. But please don't put any more pressure on me than I already have at this time. And then I don't know what my 5th piece of advice would be, but yeah, just stay tuned and I'll keep you guys updated about everything. So I hope you liked this video. If you can relate, if you're mad, I don't know, anything, if you have anything to say to me, if you're happy, comment below, subscribe, don't forget to do that. Okay, thank you guys. I hope you liked this video. Bye.